Hi everyone and welcome back to another lab. In our previous labs, we covered static and dynamic NAT. In today's lab, we will dive into port address translation or PAT. PAT is a crucial technique in network design as it allows multiple devices on a local network to share a single public IP address when accessing resources on the internet. This lab will guide you step by step through configuring PAT, understanding how it manages multiple sessions, and learning how to verify the translation process on a Cisco router. So by the end of this lab, you will have hands-on experience with one of the most widely used NAT types in modern networking. You will understand how PAT allows multiple devices to share a single public IP address. You will be able to configure port address translation on a Cisco router, and also you will be able to verify that PAT is functioning correctly by using relevant Cisco commands. So as usual, I will give you an overview of port address translation, how it works, and the advantages of using PAT and its limitations as well. After that, I will go over the lab tasks, and then finally, I will guide you through the lab solution. So port address translation is a type of network address translation that allows multiple devices on a local network to share a single public IP address when accessing external networks. So the way PAT works is that it extends the concept of NAT by incorporating port numbers to identify individual connections from different devices sharing the same public IP address. So for instance, when a device on the private network attempts to connect to an external network, the router changes the packet source IP to the public IP assigned to the router's external interface. And to distinguish connections, PAT also modifies the packet's source port number, assigning a unique port for each internal device's session. The router maintains a translation table storing each active connection's internal IP and internal port and the mapped external port as well. This allows the router to match return traffic to the correct internal device. For example, if two devices initiate sessions to the same external server, they will share the same public IP but have unique port mappings. When the response from the external network returns, the router uses the port number to match the packet back to the original internal device. By referencing the port mapping table, the router translates the packet's destination IP and port back to the internal IP and port, ensuring that each packet reaches the correct device. So one of the biggest advantages of PAT is its ability to conserve public IP addresses. In situations where only one or a few public IPs are available, PAT enables an entire private network to access external resources while sharing a limited number of IPs. This conservation of IP addresses is crucial as IPv4 addresses become increasingly insufficient for the demand. PAT also adds a layer of security as external networks only see the public IP address, not the internal IP addresses, effectively hiding the internal network structure. In addition to this, PAT offers flexibility in scaling. With dynamic port assignments, PAT can handle numerous simultaneous connections across the same IP address. As long as port numbers are available, the router can continue mapping new sessions. This is particularly useful in small office or home networks where all devices need internet access but are only assigned a single public IP. So despite its benefits, PAT has some limitations. The translation process, for example, introduces additional processing overhead on the router, which can be a concern in high traffic environments. Because PAT relies on port numbers for mapping, it's also limited by the number of ports available, meaning in large-scale deployments or networks with very high traffic demands, these port limitations could create bottlenecks or lead to connectivity issues. And another limitation is in application compatibility. Certain protocols and applications, especially those that embed IP addresses or port numbers within the data payload, such as some VoIP protocols, may have trouble working over PAT. And for these cases, specialized NAT configurations like static NAT may be necessary to ensure smooth connectivity. Okay, so regarding the lab topology, it is similar to the previous labs where we have configured both static and dynamic NAT. So I have included links in the video description below for anyone who would like to review them. And the main objectives of this lab are to provide internet connectivity for all PCs using PAT protocol and to enable communication between the external internet host and the IEE server. Okay, so regarding the lab tasks, we are going to tackle the first and the second tasks where we need to configure gig Ethernet 0/0/0 and gig Ethernet 0/0/1 interfaces with the appropriate IP address settings, and we will also enable both interfaces. And then after that, we will create a default route pointing to the ISP router. Next, we will jump into step number 3 where we need to designate each interface with the appropriate NAT configurations. And then after that, we're going to go to step number 4, where we need to configure static NAT to map the private IP address of the IEE server to 203.0.113.3. And then we're going to jump into step number 5, where we are going to start the PAT configuration process. And we will start by creating a standard access list. Then we will create a PAT mapping that binds the access list that we just created to the outside interface. And then finally, we're going to jump into step number 6 and 7, where we need to perform some connectivity tests and then save our configurations. And that will be the end of the lab. Okay, so this is the moment where I ask you to pause the video and try this yourself to test your knowledge and skills. I have added the lab document in the video description so you can download it and practice at your own pace. I have also included a couple of packet tracer labs for you to download. You will find a pre-lab and a post-lab version. The pre-lab is for those who want to tackle all tasks from the beginning, while the post-lab provides the full lab solution. Okay, so I'm going to jump into router 1 and tackle the first task. So I'm going to go to user privilege mode, and then from there I'll go to global config, and then I'm going to tackle gig Ethernet 0/0/0 first. I will set the description to link to ISP. I will set the IP address with 203.0.113.1, and that is going to be /29, which is 255.255.255.248. I will enable the interface by saying no shutdown. And then after that, I'm going to jump into interface gig Ethernet 0/0/1. I'll set the description, and I'm going to say link to switch 1. I'll set the IP address with 10.0.0.254/24. I will also need to enable the interface, so I'm going to say no shutdown. And then quickly, I'll do some in-flight checks. So I'm going to say show IP interface brief. You can see these are the two interfaces that we just configured, and both of them are in the up state, and both of them are configured with the appropriate IPv4 address settings. Next, I'm going to jump into step number 2, where we need to create a default route that points to the ISP router. So I'll go back to global config, and from there, I'm going to say IP route 0.0.0.0, and then it's going to be 0.0.0.0 for the subnet mask, and then the next hop address is going to be 203.0.113.2. I'm going to hit end, and then I'm going to issue the show IP route, and you can see that the gateway of last result is being set to 203.0.113.2. And also we can see another static entry in the actual table that implies for any unknown traffic is going to go via 203.0.113.2 as the next hop address. I'm going to jump into step number 3, where we need to designate each interface with the appropriate NAT configurations. So again, I'm going to start with gig Ethernet 0/0/0. So I'm going to go back to configure terminal. And then I'm going to say interface gig Ethernet 0/0/0. And here I'm going to say IP NAT outside. I'm going to exit this, and then I'm going to jump into gig Ethernet 0/0/1. And also I'm going to issue the IP NAT inside command. Now, if I were to reveal the current running config, I would say show run and then pipe section 0/0/0, and in here you can see that we have configured this interface with IP NAT outside. And if I up arrow this multiple times to get to that command and then change the interface ID from 0/0/0 to 0/0/1, you can see that this interface gig Ethernet 0/0/1 has an IP NAT inside command configured in it. What I can also do, I can issue the show IP NAT statistics. And right now we haven't configured any type of NATs, and the only thing that we have configured is the outside interface and the inside interface, as you can see on the screen here. So what we're going to do next, we're going to jump into step number 4, where we need to configure static NAT that maps the IEE server with the public IP address, which is 203.0.113.3. So I'm going to go back to global config, and I'm going to say IP NAT inside source. I'm going to say static, and the private IP address for the IEE server is 10.0.0.100, and the public IP address that we want to assign the IP address to IEE server is 203.0.113.3. Now I'm going to hit end. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to perform some post checks. So I will say show IP NAT statistics. And right now you can see that we have configured a single static NAT, as you can see here from the screen. And also if I issue the show IP NAT translation, and you can see that there is an entry that implies that we have configured a static NAT, however, it is not in use at the moment. Next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump into step number 5, where we need to do some PAT configurations. So again, I'm going to go back to global config, and from there, I'm going to start with creating a standard access list with an ID of 10. So I'm going to say access list 10, and I'm going to permit 10.0.0.0, and we need to include the wildcard. That is going to be 0.0.0.255, and then I'm going to hit enter, and then after that, I'm going to hit end. And next, what I can do, I can issue the show IP access list. I'm going to say 10, and you can see that we have created a standard IP access list. The ID is 10, and we are permitting only the 10.0.0.0/24 network. So this is the first step of configuring PAT configuration. So I'm going to jump into the second step, where we need to do PAT mapping. So I'm going to go back to global config, and I'm going to say IP NAT. I'm going to include the word inside, and then after that, I'm going to include the word source, and we need to bind the access list that we just created. So I'm going to say list. I'm going to include the list ID or the ACL ID, and then what we need to do next is we need to provide the external interface that is going to be used as the public IP address. So I'm going to say interface gig ethernet 0/0/0, and then if I question mark this, you'll see the content sensitive help, and here we need to use the word overload. So with that being done, I'm going to hit end, and then I'm going to perform some in-flight checks. So I'll say show run section NAT, and here we have configured a couple of NATs. So the first line that you see on the screen is related to the PAT configuration, and the second one is related to the static NAT configuration. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to issue the show IP NAT statistics. So at the moment, if you were to look at the output, you'll get the impression that we haven't configured PAT. But if we were to generate some traffic, you would see some information being generated, and the output will show you some NAT/PAT statistics. Okay, next I'm going to jump into the next step, where we need to do some connectivity tests. So I'm going to jump into internet host, and from there I want to use the web browser function to try to HTTP and HTTPS to the IEE server. So I'm going to go back to my topology, and I'm going to go to the internet host, and I'm going to go to desktop, and from there we can go to web browser. And here I'm going to say HTTP. I'm going to start with HTTP, by the way, ://203.0.113.3, and I'm going to hit go. And you can see that we have received the web page. So if I go back quickly to router 1 and up arrow this, we can see that we have got 19 hit. We missed a couple. You can see some statistics have been populated already. So if I go to show IP NAT translation, you will be able to see that we have generated a couple of sessions. We're using TCP protocol, and this is the public IP address, which is 203.0.113.3, and we are using port 80, which is related to HTTP protocol. The private IP address, or the inside local, which is the private IP address that is assigned to the IEE server, is 10.0.0.100, and again we are using port 80. The outside local matches the outside global, which is the public IP address that is associated to the internet host PC. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to jump back into that PC, and I will try to use HTTPS. So I'm going to add HTTPS in the URL section, and then I'm going to hit go. And you can see that it's been refreshed. So if I go back to my router and up arrow this, you will be able to see additional couple of sessions that have been added to the translation. We're using the same public IP address, the same protocol, but this time we're using port 443, which is related to HTTPS protocol. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump into PC1, PC2, and PC3 and start to generate some traffic. Let's assume hypothetically that we want to reach external networks and we want to check if we will be able to reach those networks using the PAT protocol that we just configured. And let's see if we have connectivity. So I'll go back to my topology and I'm going to go back to PC1 and then I'm going to hit PC2 as well. I'm going to go to desktop and let's just go to PC1 as well. Go to desktop and then command prompt. And from here, I'm going to say, I want to ping 198.51.100.1. And here I'm going to do the same thing, ping 198.51.100.1. I'm going to hit enter. And then here I'm going to also hit enter. So you can see that ping was successful. I'm going to go back to my topology and I will also generate some traffic from PC3. So I'm going to say ping 198.51.100.1. So we have reachability and connectivity. So I'm going to go back to router 1 and then I'm going to up arrow this. And here, as you can see, that we have multiple translations. So if we were to look at the first line, we can see that the protocol that is being used is ICMP. The public IP address that is being used is 203.0.113.1, which is the IP address that is assigned to interface gig Ethernet 0/0/0. You can see that it's coming from PC2, since PC2 has an IP address of 10.0.0.20, and the public IP address that we're trying to reach is 198.51.100.1. And also, if we were to look at the port, you can see that the port for each session and for each ICMP packet has a unique port number. So if we were to start from the top, you can see that the port number is 1024. The second one is 1025. The third one is 1026. The fourth one is 1027, so on and so forth. So this means that the PAT is working as expected. And as you can see, we have managed to reach the external network from a single public IP address, which is 203.0.113.1. So that's it, folks, for this video. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and turn notifications so you never miss our future tutorials and tech insights. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to drop a comment below. I read all your comments and I'm here to assist you. Please remember, consistency and hands-on practice are key to success. So stay curious, stay inspired, and until next time, peace.